My belief was like, okay, you went to business school, you've invested 20 years, blood, sweat, and tears, perseverance, and that's gonna generate the money you need to live and be prosperous and successful in music as a give back. That's not exactly how it's gone down. If there's a whisper telling you to do something and that whisper doesn't go away and it's there, eventually it's gonna get really loud. And you have to follow it. I didn't want to make money from music. I always wanted to have it as a channel for complete freedom of expression, without judgment, without having to conform, without having to think that this needs to generate money. Music really nourishes everything in my life. It's my tool. It helps me just get through life because it's so powerful. Music is medicine.
This is the Human Future Podcast, where we explore the intersection of technology and spirituality with some of the world's brightest minds. Together, we paint a vision of the desirable future and discuss the actionable steps to make that vision a reality. And now, without further ado, let's begin. Welcome, Jonathan. Thank you for coming on the show. Excited to dive into your gifts and your experience, mainly around your cool, amazing company, OpenSeed, and your story around it. So why don't you give a quick intro for people to who you are and what you do out in the world?
Sure. So my name is Jonathan. I sometimes go by Yoni. I'm founder and CEO of OpenSeed. OpenSeed has developed tech-enabled meditation pods for the workplace. Our vision and our mission really is to facilitate access to elevated states of awareness and improve mental well-being. We're focusing on installing these meditation pods in the workplaces like offices, co-working spaces, hospitals, anywhere that has relative high intensity, stress, and we make it easy for people to either start a meditation practice or have continuity. So these pods integrate sound, light, aromatherapy, guided meditations to induce calm in less than 12 minutes and also encourage a consistent practice. Because they're located, we install them about 10 feet away from people's desk or 100 feet within the working environment. So the idea is to make it really cool, make it really convenient, really accessible, and most importantly, very effective. Right? So it's not just a treatment that you go into a spa and you feel relaxed, but meditation is a skill. So our purpose there is not only to make you induce calm, but also over time leave you with a skill.
Makes sense, yeah. I think the word desirable also comes up for me when I see the design of it. You're like, wow, I want to be inside of it. I don't know if that was intentional to like really put a lot of...
Yeah, for sure. We're a very design, aesthetically driven company. And I think for a client willing to put this in the lobby of their building or somewhere very visible, it has to have a wow factor.
That's right.
It has to fit physically, but it has to be iconic. It has to be something where, people walk by or the client says, I want this.
That's right.
In the office.
That's right.
For people to see, not hidden in some closet.
Makes sense.
Some room.
You're basically, I don't know if the word competing is the right one, but you're in the same market with large art installations in lobbies and things, right? Because they're installed for that purpose also. Obviously, yours has multi-purpose, but a piece of art maybe is one of them, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, originally the design intent was to achieve that appeal where interior designers or the client would want to put it in a place that's very visible, like an art installation. It does have a sculptural element to it. But also in the design, it's, environmental design has impact on your emotions, on your state of mind. So what materials, the felt, the wood, the fabric that we use, everything has an effect on the human experience.
Right.
So all those, soft to touch panels, the wood, the natural organic materials was very important in achieving that that state of awareness or that state of calm that we wanted to induce, which is the intention of the design. Right. I mean, you look at other kind of comparable products in the market,
Mm-hmm.
and many of them are made from plastic or
Right.
acrylic, or
Right.
they feel claustrophobic. They're not
Mm-hmm.
natural. They can make it for much cheaper,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't achieve that experience. Like
Mm-hmm.
when you walk into a very cool space or
Understand,
a
yeah.
holy place, you feel that sense of awe.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going for.
Very cool. So the intention also is to make it feels as natural, as close to nature as possible, would you say?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. We want to
Yeah.
make it close to as nature as possible. And
Yeah.
that's why also the name seed, the
Mm.
shape seed, it's a symbol of rebirth,
Mm.
of possibilities, of
Mm.
potentiality.
Mm-hmm.
So all those things, have been designed into the experience. Make it kind of like a womb-like experience
Yeah.
where you go in there,
Yeah.
you're hugged by the environment, and in these isolated environments, the potential to quiet the mind is much greater than, let's say, meditating out in the street
Makes sense. Yeah.
or in the common area of your office.
For sure. For
So you
sure.
have less distractions. So
Yeah, we have an infrared indoor in our bedroom, in fact, sauna at home, and so it definitely feels like a little cocoon, a little womb
yeah,
inside. So I haven't experienced the OpenSeed being there, which I would love
yeah,
to at some
you gotta
point.
come.
But I would imagine it's a similar experience of containment, like you're just contained and you're protected. You feel not like affected by the external noise or craziness. You're just like very safe in there.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. Look, caves and small environments have been used as places of reflection,
Mm-hmm.
prayer, meditation since the beginning of time. It
Mm-hmm.
goes back to the cavemen.
Yeah. Very cool.
So there's something about this enclosed,
Mm-hmm.
literally this encapsulated space that gives you access.
Yep. And so, what's the kind of the origin story? Why did you even start working on this project?
So I've always been involved in early stage companies. So I mean, I went to Babson College. I kind of
Mm.
drank the entrepreneurship Kool-Aid, and I've always been very obsessed, quite honestly,
Mm-hmm.
of creating something big, something impactful.
Cool.
And in around 2012, I was winding down a company
Mm-hmm.
that was not successful.
Mm-hmm.
It was successful for a while, and then I was a very low point in my life,
Yeah.
and I started doing some yoga, and then a friend of mine
Mm-hmm.
suggested that I start doing some meditation. So we did the
Mm.
Art of Living course,
Mm.
and then he told me, "Listen, you gotta go do a Vipassana."
Yeah.
So I went and I did a Vipassana, which was completely transformative.
Mm.
And for those that don't know, Vipassana is a 10-day meditation course.
Yeah.
It's a meditation technique, comes from Buddhist culture.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very, very powerful. Very difficult to go through those 10 days,
Mm.
but it was
Mm.
very transformative. It's really changed my life.
Very cool.
And coming out of that experience, I knew that there was something in that path for me.
Mm-hmm.
And one day I was sitting in an office, a very noisy office with nowhere really to meditate.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea just came to me. I downloaded this idea of imagine this cocoon-shaped, seed-shaped
Mm.
pod that integrated music, things that I'm very passionate about, sound,
Yeah.
light, aromatherapy,
Yep.
and all these elements to induce calm and to
Mm-hmm.
help me practice my meditation.
Very cool.
So that's how the idea was born.
Mm-hmm.
And shortly, about a year or a year and a half later,
Yeah.
we developed a prototype. We put it at CIC, at the co-working space.
Mm-hmm.
And
Is it still around?
it's not
converted
really.
into
It's
something
converted
else.
into something else,
Yeah.
but not.
Yeah.
And so we placed the pod at CIC in the lobby, and it was a huge success. People started using it. I sat in front of it literally for a year in a
Uh-huh.
glass kind of office.
Yeah.
Just observed how people interacted with it, interviewed them, made iterations on the content, on just everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a very, very slow progress because it's a huge undertaking with no capital, very limited resources, and a new product that integrated or required, hardware design, software design, content development. So it's kind of like three companies in one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's that's how it started.
Yeah, amazing. Follow-up question on the idea came to you. Do you believe, all of the ideas are in fact are always out there, and we're just channeling, we're picking them up? I mean, this is such a unique one, though. Do you think anyone else thought about it?
Yeah, I think, and I agree with you. The ideas are out there.
Yeah.
And the universe just picks someone,
Yeah.
or a few people to do it because it merits existence.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that creates a nice dynamic of competition, of innovation.
Mm-hmm.
And so to answer your second question, yeah, I think there are other people that have tried to do it. Other people, I've always come across people that said, oh, I had that idea 5 years ago, 10 years.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that you did it.
That's right. That's very nice. Yeah.
And I think we need innovators and entrepreneurs to solve almost the same problems in different ways.
That's right. Yeah.
So I look at OpenSeed as one vehicle, one part of the puzzle, to help people, cultivate awareness, self-awareness, which is huge. It's critical. It's life-saving, I would say, especially nowadays.
100%. When you said, the universe chooses to where it's and the entry points where it enters through 3D reality in a way, I envisioned the thunder cloud, and when it strikes like the place of least resistance, basically, or like the place where the most amount of potential, and it hits the earth. It basically searches for the easiest path towards the earth. And I think maybe that's how ideas come to us as well, where we have a certain set of experiences and skills and perspectives and knowledge, and makes a great environment for a particular idea to strike through you.
Right. Right. I think that resonates a lot. I think the idea came to me, or I've earned, I guess, the idea to execute this, the opportunity to execute it, because exactly. I'm sure other people have received that opportunity, is out of necessity, out of obsession, because creating companies, you need to have, I believe, some sort of obsession, which goes beyond, the perseverance goes beyond. It's something that that is required, I think, of many founders. And I think the intersection of the different disciplines, bodies of knowledge, I guess, with design, appreciation for good design, love of technology, of how that blends in with physical design, the digital experience with physical design.
Yep. And
the big one for me is music, is sound. I'm very passionate about music. I'm really I believe a musician at heart, and I haven't followed that in my life to the extent that I guess I should have, and that I want to in the future. But that has a big element, and so I believe I've already had my tentacles or my feet in all those buckets, and like you said, the universe said, okay, that could be a good option. This guy could.
Yeah, let's track through. I mean, and it also doesn't necessarily mean when the idea does go through that it will manifest. You're still up for things like willpower and your skills to actually make things happen in this reality. Like, you could still get an idea and it could still come through you, but then, I think I think you're given an abundance of opportunities in life. Life is full of just an overflow, abundance of ideas. For sure.
It's what sticks, and then that's the first stage of earning it. Then it's the execution, and that's where the real test is.
Mm-hmm. And your love for technology, tell me a little bit more. How did that come about? Your previous companies were tech related?
So my previous entrepreneur were not tech,
Yeah.
innovations.
Yeah.
I mean, they were always tech enabled.
Tech enabled, yeah.
I from the moment I graduated Babson College,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I worked for about a year in advertising, but really my first opportunity in technology was going back to Israel, where I was born, to work at a technology incubator, a software tech incubator in Jerusalem, where I worked with a company that developed a 3D engine to develop games for the game community, for the gaming community. And then I worked at a VC in Tel Aviv that invested in technology companies. So that's the period where I really got
Yeah.
exposed, both on the founder side and also the VC side.
Mm-hmm.
And then I came back to the U.S. I worked. I started a marketing agency, also developing web development, software development, and then went into founded a company with my brother and my mom and my sister-in-law called Ecoist, which we developed. Accessories, handbags made from upcycled materials.
Mm-hmm.
So we would partner with companies like Coke, Mars, Frito-Lay to repurpose all their misprinted packaging. And I mean truckloads.
They would just throw away
That
usually.
would just normally throw away. And this is around 2004 where they were starting to kind of come clean about the waste that is
Right.
created from their production, and they wanted to do something about it.
Right.
So we provided one solution. Obviously it's one out of many solutions that these companies were looking at, or the companies that have to look at. And so we made accessories, handbags, and we worked with cooperatives in Peru and Mexico that use this special weaving technique, and then kind of sold the products back to the market.
Yeah.
And it was successful for a while. We sold to department stores in New York, in Japan, in the UK. We were featured in Oprah and Sex and the City. They used some of our bags.
Cool.
So it was very glamorous, but not profitable. So, but you learn. I think life as an entrepreneur takes you through a few master's degrees until you finally land on an idea that feels aligned, that feels right,
Yep.
and that is your calling at the end of the day. Yeah,
I'm sure the skill of bringing something to market was something that you've learned through those previous companies, even though they weren't like a great financial success, but you still learn a ton how to deliver certain goods and products to the market, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, every chapter, every venture leaves you with traumas and learning experiences. But that's part of the process. Behind every successful entrepreneur, there's a bunch of failures.
For sure.
There's no such thing as not failing.
For sure,
And that is just, you have to reframe it,
Yeah.
You not even call it a failure. It's I took this course, and I took that course,
right.
and then I took the other course.
Yeah, I mean, the baby, when it's learning how to walk, we don't necessarily say it's failing the whole time, like falling, keep falling, right? It's like, that's part of the learning process, is to encounter a certain amount of pain through which you know that this is the boundary of what you shouldn't be doing or something like that, and this is the that's how we learn through. I mean, good and bad. So I guess it doesn't always have to be through pain. It could also be, but the best lessons are probably through something uncomfortable.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So let's get back into the OpenSeed. So I'd love to learn more about, let's say, some of the challenges that you guys have and are experiencing into bringing that into the market, because it's such a new innovative thing and product, and I'm sure there's some still resistance, corporate world. Yes, there are adopting the mindfulness practices and other things, but I would imagine that there's still a lot of friction there.
Yeah, I think there's some friction. in terms of what to bring into the workplace, where to invest. Our challenge has been not so much on demand. Like, I know there is demand. We see it, demand. How big, what is the market for pods is still kind of questionable, because in one end we're creating it, right? It's not something that someone woke up one day and said, "Oh, we need a meditation pod."
Of course, yeah.
But we do need solutions for the workplace that bring people back into the office, make the workplace a wellness cultured,
Yep.
human-centric environment. Two, we don't want to spend too much money. We have limited real estate.
Yeah.
We don't want to convert an existing office that is very usable, that is very highly usable, into a meditation room. And we need to help people with their mental well-being. And we have, as an employer, as a company, as an organization, we have that responsibility. So we come there. We solve those three problems. So I know that there's a market for it. And I think we've had the opportunity, the blessing, to go through all these learning curves while the market is starting to catch on.
Yep.
Right? So Morgan Stanley was our first customer, really, in the U.S. We've been there for a year and a half in New York.
New York, yeah.
And in Wall Street. And after a year and a half of using it, they're getting about 16, 17 sessions per day. Amazing. And now they're reordering another one for their main headquarters, which is going through renovation. Amazing. So it's a great sign. Deloitte, we have Deloitte as a customer. We just signed an agreement with U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs for medical centers. So we just installed one in Cleveland, Ohio. And they have 1,200 medical centers. Amazing. And they have a mindfulness program that they want to integrate into the pods. So it is catching on. The challenge for us has been a bootstrapping company trying to do the job of three companies. So I think, I've tried fundraising. I think capital is definitely helps, will help us. And we're going to raise money next year to really take it to the next level. But up till now, it's been another master's degree in design, manufacturing, software development, content development, and entrepreneurship as a whole. I think life and the universe gives you something, that big break, when you're ready to receive it. Because if you get it prematurely, you can throw it away. You could blow it off, and I think I'm kind of happy that I haven't received funding until now. I've tried to a certain extent to do some fundraising, but I think it would have, this phase really helped us craft our strategy. And another thing that has been a challenge for us is really develop the go-to-market strategy. Right? It's who do we sell to? Who do we target? That has a lot of implications on the actual product development, the design, the user experience, and also our marketing effort, our messaging. Who are we speaking to? Are we speaking to a consumer? Are we speaking to a spa manager? Are we speaking to a wellness director at Morgan Stanley? And so we let the market, the traction, dictate where we're going to head, where we're going to target, where we're going to allocate our resources. And the workplace is is a market for us.
So who is that person then in each organization?
So it is related. It's not just one specific persona, but it is people who are stakeholders in the wellness aspect of the workplace. So there's not, in the companies, there are no silos really anymore. There's that bridge that connects all these different disciplines and departments. So sometimes it goes through the wellness person, but then the interior design, the space design, or the facilities design come in as well and make those decisions. But the person that really understands it, the benefit more of the wellness, culture, HR aspect.
How has the benefits been measured apart from the number of people used it? Like, what do you do to measure it?
So we do have surveys.
Uh-huh.
We do have, now we're coming up with a partnership. We have a partnership with, I can't say the name yet, but it's a cancer treatment center that is going to use biomarkers, certain stress biomarkers, either heart rate, EEG monitors, and other biomarkers to test people over 3 months. Now, we've done tests. Our partners in Japan did a study that was led by a neuroscientist using heart rate and EEG monitors to check for real-time improvements in people's kind of brain activity. Ultimately, we want to see those brain waves go down to alpha waves from gamma or beta down to alpha waves in a span of 12 minutes. So we did those tests with about 30 people, and it showed drastic improvement. From people that meditated in the pod versus people that meditated outside the pod. Same content, same meditation.
Really?
But if you're in an enclosed environment with the light, with the aromatherapy, you have more point of references to calm your mind, to achieve that state of calmness.
And so you mentioned about the light. I mean, your eyes are closed.
Yes.
So how does that affect you?
So even when you're in the pod, even if your eyes are closed, you still can feel it. Well, you can see the lighting, through your eyes, through your eyelids. The way that light is used in the pod is to create atmosphere. Color has a lot of power to change our emotions. Blues are associated with calm, red with energy. But more importantly, for breath work, a lot of people don't know how to breathe properly in the right timing. So the breath, so the lighting, our audio to light technology cues that lighting to work to synchronize with the audio. So if you're doing breath work, pranayama, or you're doing bastrika, bellows breathing, the lights flicker with the beat of the music. So it helps people really get into it. Feel more immersed in the experience, and that translates into a more effective experience.
Interesting. So there are different meditations. Some of them are just with focusing on, let's say, on your energy centers, or some of them are just breath. Like, there are different modalities in a way. Like you mentioned breath. What other different variations of meditations are
so
there?
There's guided meditations, visualizations, mantra-based. There are just sound healing with no guided meditations. And there's breath work and all types of breath works. So the pod is a hub for different wellness experiences based on your preference. If you're a seasoned practitioner, or you are very leaning into Kundalini, you'll find that content.
I see.
So part of the technology that we're building is to create more personalized experiences based on where you are. We want to meet people where they are, based on their preferences. If you want a female voice or a male voice, all those things are built into the technology that we're working on.
And then that is something you let's say I want to use it again. So I used it sometime in the past, and I want to use it again. Do I have to preset all of those preferences again, basically, or does it know?
It knows. So it knows. So the next version of our tech is that you go and you log in, and it's your account.
Right.
So you have your pod here in your co-working space, or if you're working at Morgan Stanley on the 30th floor,
right.
You go in there, and the pod knows, welcome back. What would you like to work on today? Well, I'm very stressed out, or I'm trying to unleash my creativity. Boom, we come up with a recommendation and give you some options.
Is there some kind of AI component to it now, or like what voice? What's behind that voice?
So we are right now working with real people. I think the voice right now, we're not ready to go into AI voices. I think that has a different. It's very important to project soul in this type of experience. I mean, AI. There's always room for AI in the back end. to analyze all sorts of biomarkers and then provide recommendations.
Yeah.
But the actual voice, I mean, we've worked with, Deepak Chopra. We've worked with amazing meditation teachers and sound healers, musicians, to create the content.
I was more on the front when you said, "Oh, what do you would like to work on today?" That's there's no voice of asking this. You're just clicking on things and selecting. Is that how the UI of that? Yeah.
Yeah. So no, it's not voice prompted. It's you just select. So yeah, the idea is to make it very simple, very intuitive. As soon as you walk into the pod, within 10, 15 seconds, you're already into the experience.
Interesting, because I was envisioning also a potential version, where you walk in, it knows who you are, and it talks to you for a brief second, like say, okay, where are you basically, where are you at, so that to understand how their day went and what's on their mind, things like that, and maybe measuring their blood pressure, and then feeding the pre-recorded something.
Yeah, I think that's where we're headed on our roadmap. I mean, there's really no limit. I mean, we like to, like you just described, we'd like for someone to come in and to have sensors be able to pick up on your voice, be able to pick up on your heart rate, be able to pick up on certain markers that we can then not even ask you, say, okay, you seem like you need this type of a rewrite, and you say yes, and that's it. It's very quick, very intuitive, very smart.
And at some point, I guess it will be so good that it doesn't even need to ask you. It gives you the most optimal practice for your state of being, and you just come out always like elevated.
The technology is there. It's just a matter of being able to integrate it into a way that's cost effective, and that's really important. 'Cause sometimes with meditation, you don't need so much technology. People know that meditation works. Most people that have gone into it.
Right.
And so not everyone wants biofeedback. Not everyone wants to engage with technology. There's a fine line between using technology right and then completely disconnecting from it.
Yeah.
I think one of the most important UX factors in our pod is to make technology almost invisible.
That's right.
So you walk in there and you're taken more into a nature pod than a tech pod.
I understand. Yeah. I always have I've always had this vision where the most advanced technology is the one that's least noticeable.
Yeah.
And that's probably the newer versions of your pod is probably going to have less technology noticeable. You will have more tech in there.
Yeah.
But it will have less noticeable tech. Maybe no screens. Maybe you don't need screens.
You don't need screens.
That's
where we're headed.
Yeah. I had this. So I'm always excited about how to use use cases or ways to use technology that brings us back to our humanity, our center, our presence. Expand our awareness. That's why I was excited to talk to you about your product. And I had once had this vision. Let me restart that now. Right. So this was at the point. So feel free to bring the mic a little closer here. You can do it a little closer.
A little closer.
Like really close. Yeah, you got it. Yeah. So what is that vision that you see for where you guys are building, the ideal case scenario future? How are you impacting the world?
So our vision is to develop a network of over 20,000 pods that will place in hospitals, in schools, in co-working spaces, in offices, airport lounges. We want to make this vehicle, this tool, accessible to as many people as we can. And the key to doing that is really in strategic partnerships from a strategic standpoint. companies like Steelcase, companies that have existing manufacturing and distribution channels is what we're really going for over the next year or so. We already have that type of partnership in place in other markets, in Japan and Australia. We started with Japan. We learned a lot from that experience.
Why Japan?
They came to us.
Okay.
Really, there was a group of entrepreneurs that came from the corporate world.
Somehow? Yeah.
They found us. We were able to get some significant press coverage early on. And they came to Miami, and they were in the process of starting a wellness company in Japan, and they got investors, and they acquired the license to manufacture and distribute for the Japanese market. And those are the early days of this is 2019, pre-pandemic. We didn't really know what we were doing. They didn't know what we were doing.
Yep.
And so we learned a lot. But it was a great transaction for us because it was a nice, it gave us the capital we needed to continue developing the product. Fast forward a few years when we did a similar agreement with a company in Australia that has manufacturing and distribution channels.
Yep.
And it's great. We basically license them the IP. They manufacture locally. They distribute locally. They have their client base, and we get a royalty and licensing fees. And that's really how we see our vision. My vision for the company is for us to be an innovation hub for the pod and other wellness amenities for the workplace, where we use materials, the technology, the content development. We can't be good at everything.
Right.
And we need to have these strategic partnerships in order to scale and achieve that vision.
Have you considered creating, let's say, a virtual reality experience where you can incorporate all of those? Because they are just like recording software. It's a digital thing that you guys are creating as a part of the experience.
Yeah, I mean, we see the actual pod as a hub for different wellness experiences, where there's so many meditation apps, and there's also VR, but no one has really provided a one-stop solution that includes the space. You can go build your meditation room, but you have to pick a room. You have to get permits. You have to know you're going to get content. You got to put all these pieces together.
Right.
And most people don't have the time, the know-how, and it's probably going to end up costing more than by just buying a pod and putting it in an open area where it's going to be utilized a lot more.
Makes sense. I see it, maybe an analogy, tell me if that's correct, would be a movie theater where they provide the platform for movie producers and parties that produce content to stream their content in front of audiences. You're basically placing those movie theaters all around offices. They're more modular, obviously. They're not for big audiences at once. But it's kind of like similar. You're providing a platform for other creators to plug in their content.
Yeah, absolutely. It's content, and it's also hardware. You mentioned VR. So you can get a basic pod with sound, light, and aromatherapy. But if you want vibroacoustics, or if you want EEG biomarkers, biofeedback devices, if you want red light therapy. There's many applications is what I'm saying. Even for a ketamine therapy, different seating configurations for different type of applications. If you want to do a 20-minute meditation with just sound and light, that's fine. But if you want to go, a wellness center might want the pod with all the different modalities and features to offer more for the people that want to go deeper into their wellness experience.
Interesting. How much do you, I have, let's say, a smart watch or whatever, like the Fitbit, and we starting to track our different aspects of our body, heart rate, other things, and your device, or like, is that a device, or how do you call it? It's not a device. It's what is that?
Yeah, it's a device. It's a vehicle.
Vehicle. Okay. Yeah. Vehicle of consciousness, or a vehicle for consciousness expansion or something like that, to navigate consciousness?
That could be, yeah, that could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of navigating a highway, or navigating highways of consciousness.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that. So your vehicle could be also collecting all kinds of biomarkers that you just mentioned about. At what point does that become counterproductive? Like it's too much information. The whole purpose for you to center yourself and not be distracted by things, but then now by collecting all of this data and maybe giving you some feedback real time, that's potentially pulling you away from the main goal of the exercise.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, not everyone wants technology in their face or to quantify their experience. Meditation is a proven technology in and of itself. Thousands of studies have already shown the vast benefits of meditation. We just deliver it in a different format. And so you don't need all this technology to quantify your experience. As long as you feel after 10, 15, 20 minutes, a more sense of calm, and you feel it in your body, you feel it in your voice, you feel it in your way of communicating, your way of thinking, then we've done our job. This device or this vehicle has done its job. Now there are ways to use technology that's not intrusive.
Yeah.
It's very hidden, where that is part of our core design principle, is that technology has to be hidden. Nobody wants another screen. So we see the vision as part of our roadmap is to make technology really invisible, to make it intuitive, to be very in the back end of the user experience. And it's all really about creating an environment that as soon as you walk in, you're already taken down a notch in terms of your stress level, and it sparks curiosity, a sense of awe, and a sense of relaxation and calm.
What are the commonalities with sensory deprivation tank and what it's similar idea, right? They're trying to really bring you as inward as possible.
Yeah, so those technologies and those inventions are there to kind of help you drop in immediately. And I think the sensory deprivation, it's a different it's a different product. One is really, you can't put a sensory tank, floating tank in the lobby of Morgan Stanley. I think we're the dry version of that. That you can put it in an airport lounge. You can put it in the lounge for doctors and nurses in an emergency room. You can put it in really anywhere. So in this isolated environment, there is a greater potential to quiet the mind. And using guided meditation, breath work, aromatherapy, you're taking even deeper. And you're also, over time, given a skill. So you're taught a skill, which is the skill of meditation, whether it's through breath work, visualization, mantra-based meditation, breath work. That's really our purpose. It's not just a device you go for relieve stress. Meditation goes much deeper than just a stress relief modality. It's there to really help you cultivate self-awareness, which is the basis for transformation.
What is the benefit of community in the meditative practice, you think? Meditating together with someone or meditating by yourself? Are there differences, and what are they? Yeah.
I think there's different formats.
Yeah.
I think community-based is crucial. Whether it's you're meditating, you're doing sports together, or you're doing whatever. That's one of the pillars of wellness, social interactions and connection.
Right.
And so I think it works differently we're all different. Some people like to do sports by themselves and meditate with others, or meditate by yourself and do sports with others.
Yep.
So I think there's nothing one better than the other.
Yeah. The sound aspect of the experience. So you mentioned that you're into music yourself. Is that I would suspect that a lot of the music recordings are produced by you or guided by you. Tell me a little more.
Yeah, so music has been always like a core part of my life. I've been a percussionist for 25 years. Started playing piano when I was 11, but then I discovered rhythm. I kind of gravitated towards that. And yeah, I've been making music for OpenSeed. I partnered with Deepak Chopra. I've been honored and blessed really to partner with him to launch an album and create 10 meditations and produce them. Really dream come true. When I first started the company, I had a vision board and I put Deepak on it, and
nice.
And it works.
How long did it take?
4 years.
4 years, nice.
4 years, to actually manifest that. Nice. But it did. It happened.
How did that come about?
It came about through a friend of mine who had met Deepak.
Yeah.
And then from another end, also one of my supporters, advisors, investors, Tony Cho, is friends with Deepak and hosted a retreat at Chosen. And hosted a Deepak at one of the retreats there, and that's how we met him. And so I'm developing the music, a lot of the content, the collaboration, and music really nourishes everything in my life. It's my tool there's meditation and there's music that helps me really just get through life, because it's so powerful. Music is medicine.
And Handpan that you brought with you, which I'm also really excited for you to play. Tell me a little bit more about the instrument. Because it's such a cool. I've considered also I've been just kind of busy, not having enough priority to pick it up, but it's definitely on my priority list. Somewhere in the middle there. I'm eventually will pick it up. But tell me more about this amazing instrument for. Yeah. So
the Handpan is a very special instrument. It was invented not long ago, only 23 years ago.
Crazy,
And, it's very hypnotizing, very meditative. It's also intuitive, very kind of relatively easier to learn than other instruments. And it was, like I said, invented 23 years ago by a couple in the Swiss Alps that was inspired by the steel drum of Trinidad and the islands, with calypso music, and around the 90s or 80s and 90s there was a movement of calypso music in Europe, and this couple was making instruments with metal sheets, kind of like steel pan, and they one day they said, well, why don't we do an instrument that instead of it being a concave shape is a convex shape, that integrated other sounds like the gong, other instruments that would allow this to be played for rhythm, harmony, and melody at the same time in the same instrument.
Very cool. Yeah.
So they came up with it, and it became really popular. For the first 2 years, I think you had to apply to buy one, and then you would be put on a waiting list. Yep. And so supply didn't meet demand.
For sure.
And kind of fast forward many years later, and there are now over 100 shops making them all over the world. Yep. And so I think the appeal is that it's intuitive. It's very meditative. If you have some foundation and some rhythm, then you can create beautiful melodies.
Do you think they own the right to or anyone can now produce them?
Yeah, there is an ongoing issue, a legal issue. They didn't really patent it. And so they're trying to sue everyone.
For sure.
Yeah. But I think overall in the community, in the handpan community, they've recognized them as the inventors.
Yeah.
But I don't know really the kind of the legalities but I know it's
They're
I
still
know it's
around. They
something.
still play.
Yeah,
Right?
they still
Yeah.
play. They
Yeah.
still make them,
Uh-huh.
but there are many brands, really really good brands, really.
Yep.
I mean, you can buy them on Amazon, like machine made,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't have
Mm.
the magic. They don't have the sound, the quality
Mm.
that handcrafted handpans do.
Is it about the accuracy of bending the metal, or what is that?
It's the quality of the metal.
Okay.
It's the craftsmanship. It's the tuning,
Mm-hmm.
how they're tuned, and really the sound that they create.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not going to get if it's machine pressed, you're not going to get the tuning nor the quality
Mm.
that you would with a craftsperson that really carefully tunes every single note on the pan.
How do you tune it? You like bend it in a certain
It's
way?
welding, yeah. It's
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a little bit of welding. It's a
Yeah.
little bit of there's
Mm.
now infrastructure for making handpans, certain tools.
Mm-hmm.
But I think one of the most critical aspects is the actual quality of the metal,
Mm-hmm.
and the crafting of it and the tuning.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You have so many different techniques. I've seen many handpan manufacturers and how they go about it.
Yep.
I think one of the most appealing aspects of the handpan, of the sound, is the actual sounds that you can create, the overtones
Mm.
that really resonate, that are very healing, actually.
What do you call them? Overtones?
Overtones.
Yeah. Why overtone? What is overtone?
So overtone is kind of, you hit a certain note and
Yeah.
the sustain and the echo
Yeah.
takes you to different tones. So you could hear different melodies by, your root note could be D,
Yeah.
but then it goes into different octaves and different sounds.
So it's a tone. It's jumping over that tone. That's why it's like an overtone.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So sometimes when you play the handpan,
Yeah.
you'll start hearing melodies that are created by the sound waves of the original notes that you played.
Right. You hearing the music from the derivatives of the
Right.
Right.
Right. And you get that with with percussion, with many instruments,
Mm.
but it's especially strong with
Mm.
the handpan because it's a metallic instrument.
Uh-huh. And why is it intuitive? You said it's intuitive.
Well, because there's no it's intuitive because every handpan is tuned to one scale,
Mm-hmm.
to a single scale. So you can't sound that bad, right?
Yeah.
It's like if you're put on a piano and you don't know what to do,
Yeah.
it will probably go wrong.
Yeah, I see.
Because there's not a lot of possibilities.
Right.
There's just one possibility. You're only playing in one scale.
Right.
You may not be creating the best melodies,
Mm.
but it's not going to sound horrible.
I see.
But if you have a little bit of, you start learning the pattern, certain pattern. This is what I teach now.
Mm-hmm.
So I've started teaching handpan about 6 months ago,
Okay.
and I found it fascinating. The concept of teaching.
Yeah.
It's been one of the best learning experiences for me,
Yeah. Yeah.
to learn how to teach.
For sure.
And so with a handpan, it's as long as you have, a certain foundation, a little bit of rhythm,
Mm-hmm.
which is what I teach, you can create like beautiful melodies, beautiful rhythms.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I've very much tied music to the other areas of my life, especially with OpenSeed,
Mm-hmm.
by creating content. And what was the last point I wanted to say? Very important.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It'll come to you.
It was there.
Yeah, it's like a common thread for everything
Yeah.
that you're doing.
Yeah.
Apart from OpenSeed, where else does it manifest?
So it really nourishes. Ultimately,
Yeah.
my purpose is to, whether it's OpenSeed or music, is
Mm-hmm.
to facilitate access to higher states of awareness.
Mm-hmm.
To create a sense of calm. And music is a powerful tool. So I've been blessed with that talent, with that passion.
Yeah.
And it goes in parallel with OpenSeed. Goes parallel and also merges in many ways. Because we're creating content for OpenSeed. I'm collaborating with meditation teachers, with other musicians to create music for it. But the classes in and of itself is, amazing. And I teach it in a beautiful space, Plant the Future in Little River. That they've been gracious enough to allow me to use their beautiful space, which is all about biophilia, to conduct the classes. And yeah, I started in March of last year, and now it's been about 25 cohorts already, 25 groups that I've gone through.
Oh, very cool.
Different levels.
Very cool.
And I think the big takeaway, the message is that, if there is a whisper there for everyone, if there's a whisper telling you to do something, and that whisper doesn't go away and it's there, eventually it's going to get really loud.
That's right, yeah.
And you have to follow it. And this is something that I've been asked to do for quite a few years, to teach, either percussion or djembe, that was my original instrument. For some reason I hesitated, and then I came across the handpan, and I got to a point where it was like obvious. It's obvious you should do this. So it's good to be obsessed as a founder. I say this to other founders and just the people in general. You can be passionate about multiple things.
Yes.
And however, there's one thing that the universe really wants you to do, and if you don't do it, it's not going to go well for you. I think. But if you do it, everything else,
that's right,
will go better. It will nourish other areas of your life.
So is OpenSeed the one, or the music is the one?
The music is the one. Music is the one.
Yeah.
Music is the one. OpenSeed is very important. I don't think one goes without the other. I've always had this thought where I didn't want to make money from music. I always wanted to have it as a channel for complete freedom of expression, without judgment, without having to conform, without having to think that this needs to generate money.
That's right, yeah.
And so my belief was like, okay, business, you went to Babson, you went to business school, you've invested 20 years, heart, blood, sweat, and tears, perseverance, and that's going to generate the money you need to live and be prosperous and successful in music. It's a give back. But that's not exactly how it's gone down. So you just have to learn to adjust and adapt.
Sure.
And now it's actually one thing is actually nourishing the other.
Man, I totally see for you having the whole personal brand built around being a musician, and because that's where you shine the most. That's where you have more to say, you have more to play, or you have more to express in that domain. OpenSeed, yes, you can talk about the benefits and how you guys are expanding, and from the perspective of content, I think you will run out of amazing ideas there much faster than the form of creativity, just a form of art. You're just expressing yourself. It's infinite. You can continue that unlimited, and I would totally just focus more on the it really goes hand in hand. Like, if people find out about your you playing, and they're like, wow, I really enjoyed this experience. In fact, there is a YouTuber, or he has a YouTube channel where he plays handpan. You probably know, like, a bald guy. He's one of the
Martin.
Yeah. So I've watched him play. Like, it was just an enjoyable experience to hear it and see high quality videos and stuff like that. I totally see something of that kind for you, where you also build your brand around that, and then you happen to also lead the company that's where your music is hosted as well. Right.
I think, look, the OpenSeed is not about me. I think everything that we do is our expression, and I believe that it should have an impact on others. However, I do look at OpenSeed as a platform to distribute my music and others' music. We were talking before about, creating the platform.
Yep.
And, OpenSeed we see it as a hub for different wellness experiences, whether it be audio, visual, multi-sensory experiences. And I think as artists, creators, we can now work with different senses. Why limit to just sound, where we can create as an experience? Well, I'm creating this sound, and I would love for it to be accompanied by this light and this scent.
Yeah.
And you as an artist create that whole multi-sensory experience. I think that's a very interesting. If we can create a platform to make it easy for artists to experiment, plug themselves in, and be able to use those.
Yeah.
I think
It's
that's
kind of like an app store
powerful.
where there is a curation process. Somebody is curating it.
Yeah.
I like that.
But yeah, music is the creation of it, and collaborating is where I find my peak performance, the zone,
Amazing.
the flow state.
How often do you play?
I play every day now.
Every day, of course.
Yeah. But for many years, I considered music as a side thing when I have time.
Right.
And now I've prioritized. It's part of my morning ritual.
Amazing.
Wake up, meditate, play music, exercise. I prioritize that.
Beautiful. Yeah. Are you going to play for us?
Yeah, let's do a little.
I would love that, man. Yeah.
Let's do a little meditation. Let's do a sound.
Whoever is listening and watching, you're up for a treat. Get ready for a journey. So is there a specific name for the tone? Because they have different tonality, different, what are they called, octaves? Or
These are different scales.
Scales, right.
Yeah. So this one is, can I put the microphone?
Yeah.
So this one is...
maybe on the side, you could bend it. Here, like this, maybe.
So this one is a B flat minor scale.
Okay, yep.
This is made by a brand called Yashama from Israel. And it's just beautiful. This is my favorite pan. My first one I got it was a D minor.
Okay.
But there's something about this pan it's just the sounds don't get old. It's just very magical.
All right.
So...
man. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Remember I mentioned that I've considered playing it at some point, and it's on my priority list. Well, it went up by many points up now. I really, it just reminds me now more that this is really, there's a calling for this beautiful instrument for me as well. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's people sign up for different purposes. Some people are like sound healers; they integrate it into their course. Some people just want it for themselves as a practice at home, as a meditation. Others are musicians that want to integrate it also into their repertoire. But yeah, it's my latest obsession. And once you have one, you want another one because you want to go into different scales and do different melodies.
Yep.
So yeah.
How many do you have?
I own two, but I
Yeah.
have access to many others. Actually, my friend Michelle Berlin,
Yes. Yes.
she is also a great player, and imports them from. She sells them. She imports them from Italy, from other brands. So we work together to make them more accessible here.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You how often do you guys play together?
Not often.
Yeah.
Not often. I mean, she has her amazing sound healing. I do kind of more mute performances, musical performances. But we collaborate every so often. Yeah.
Very cool. Awesome, man. So maybe this is a good place for us to wrap up. If you don't mind bringing the mic a little bit closer, and then just I'll let you, mention any lost thoughts, ideas that you want to kind of share in this format, and maybe point people to a certain resources or how to find you or anything like that.
Yeah, no, I thank you for having me on this. It took a while for me to come here. I guess I wasn't ready. Things didn't align, but I really thank you for having me. And if anybody wants to follow me, the OpenSeed is my company. Also on Instagram, Yoni Marcos for the music. I also teach here. The Handpan courses are at Plant the Future. And I think my parting words or words of wisdom that I'd love to share with people is the word that comes to me lately is alignment, trust, and confidence. That's something I'm connecting with these days. Everyone's on a different journey. Where I am right now is I've noticed, looking back at all these years and patterns and alignment is very important to do what we're supposed to do on this earth. And I think everyone, if it's not obvious, there's a glimpse of it, there's a whisper, and you have to tune into it, because if you do, sometimes it takes more courage, it takes a lot of courage to do it, you will find flow states. You will encounter
magic,
great things. Great things will unfold. And with that, it's trust, trusting that it will. And my personal superpower, everyone has, some people are,
it's one of my
brilliant.
favorite questions to ask people's superpower.
Yeah, mine is perseverance. Yeah, I haven't been that wise in being in the courage to pursue what I think is aligned. Yeah, I've always in my programming, there was always a little bit of self-sabotage. After many years of awareness and healing, I'm connecting more easily to what is aligned, and in that path, trust is the gas. The fuels that alignment.
Trust in yourself, trust into universe, trust that you're being supported if you surrender. Right? Yeah.
So there's a lot of talk about that. It sounds cliche sometimes, but it works. Sure. It is the truth. It's a universal truth.
Amazing. Awesome, man. Thank you again for being here, and really enjoyed the conversation. Really enjoyed the music.
And you're going to come check out the pod.
I would love that. I would love that. Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome, man.
All right, man. Thank you.